You know, I kind of messed up the intro to this interview, and I sounded like a newbie. She is my first interview, but she is much more than just a comedian friend. This lady has been in my corner every step of the way, and I really hope you enjoy this interview with Miss Anita Milner. She is a gem. She is funny. Please enjoy.
My electric razor. But you know, I keep thinking about that microwave. I read in the newspaper that microwaves make men sterile. And I can't get that out of my mind. I mean, how do you prove something like that? I was married for 49 years, and I know how sensitive you men are about your private parts. And I'm just trying to think, which man among you here tonight, well maybe you, would consent to test this out? I mean, really, who would agree to put the boys in a microwave? And how would you shut the door? And then there's that little turntable. I don't know, it's just one of those mysteries of life.
Hey everybody. My guest today is the one and only, very, very funny. I've worked with her for that many years. Miss Anita Milner. I love her. I swear to God I do. How are you doing today?
I'm getting by. I got up this morning. That's always good. That's always good.
By yourself?
Well, when the cat licks your face, you know it's time to get up and feed him.
So you've been doing comedy now for how long, Anita?
I'm 87 years old, and I started law school in my 40s, and law school was so horrendous that I took up comedy just to relieve the stress, because law school is really bad. I'm glad I went. I'm still a lawyer, but so I've been doing comedy and a lawyer for over 36 years, 37 years.
It's pretty good. That's really good.
Yeah.
I have no interest in going to law school. Had no interest. Everybody told me that I should have been a lawyer because I like to argue, but I had no, because I always needed the last word. I never.
My grandkids should have been lawyers too.
But I was raised in that era where we were told that kids were seen and not heard.
And you didn't listen?
I didn't know. I was too busy talking.
No, I do and I must say in my defense, I do a very peaceful area of the law. I do wills and trusts, and it's very peaceful. It's very gratifying. I couldn't do criminal defense or divorce or bankruptcy. I just couldn't do it. So I'm glad I did it. I'm glad it was worth it, but it sure was hell at the time.
Now, when did you do that again? When did you go?
I actually became a lawyer at 50. So I've been an attorney 37 years in the state of California.
Wow. And California is not easy to get your law license.
No. Oh, you would bring that up. It took me 2 tries, but you take bar review classes, and the first time I didn't pay attention. And so when I failed the bar, the next time it wasn't cheap. So I paid attention the next time. And I've never regretted it for 1 minute.
Well, that's good. You have that solemn where I couldn't be a divorce lawyer, like you say. I couldn't handle that. I remember one time I was working security in the hospital, and it was right after 9/11,
Oh,
and I got stuck in a hospital room with two brothers, and they were both 5150 patients.
oh,
One was suicidal, and one was homicidal.
good grief.
Now it was not after 9/11, and I said no, hell, I am not staying in here all night watching these two brothers.
I don't
So
blame you.
I said, because if they're once they're put on a 5150 hold, you have to sit there and watch them. You have to. And I looked at them, and they weren't playing with a full deck. They were like 52 cards shy of a deck. And I said, "What? Why are you here?" He goes, "Well, I'm homicidal and he's suicidal." And I said, "Well, why don't you just kill him and we can just call this thing a day?"
No, you wouldn't have made much. You wouldn't have made much of a lawyer. I'm sorry. You
I
made
just
the
find I'm just happy finding that middle ground.
don't blame you at all. No, and I don't blame you. I couldn't. I I, I wouldn't want. I don't go to court ever. Uh, uh, that I don't have to appear in front of judges and nasty people. So I I I can I can see why you didn't want to do it.
um, I have to say that you were one of the few that came and visited me after I was shot, and for that I thank you.
I was remembering it. Did I bring you C's candy?
You did, and I couldn't
I thought
chew.
so.
I couldn't open my mouth to open. I was like, I just sniffed it.
Your wife, your wife was happy. Your wife
Yeah,
was.
she was. She
Yeah.
knew she could leave it on the table and knew it was safe.
No, I remember that horrible time, Drava. That was
And
horrible.
then you brought me Mr. Milton's joke book, uh,
Oh, who's?
Milton Burrow.
Oh, Milton. Oh, yes, yes.
It
King.
was that. Yeah,
I know. It gave me a hernia. So no,
oh,
I think you were amazing during all that. You
that.
got
And when you
big
showed up,
ones, Bubba. You got big ones. So
and you were trying to do a trust against his house or whatever.
oh,
Remember that you were trying, but I
oh,
was so between cops and lawyers. I was so lost those days and weeks and months.
oh,
Like I couldn't. If somebody was telling me the sky was blue outside, I would literally have to go out and check it because that's how messed up I was back in then.
oh,
I mean, I'm still messed up, but
I don't know how you got through it. I just don't know how you got through it. It was just appalling. And to read about it that happened to someone I know and cared for, it was tough.
wasn't your grandson one of the first medical?
He's a paramedic. He's a paramedic in Arkansas now, so he's a paramedic with an accent. But he's
No, they don't enunciate the words.
what?
They don't enunciate their words. They don't enunciate. They don't just run together like that. We ain't just gonna go down there and bum down. Yeah, it's weird. I can say that living in Oklahoma. I can like Arkansas. That's a hard R up there. That's a hard
Hard hard. And he loves it. My daughter's there too. They love it there. They loved California, but they had to move. So that Arkansas, and they could live on their Social Security in Arkansas. They couldn't. My daughter and her husband could live on Social Security in Arkansas. But anyway, we
R.
play
You said
dealt. We play the cards we're dealt.
yes, we do, and I just can't ask why it happened. It just to what extent, what now, like what you can't just sit and suffocate yourself. You
No,
can't just because that stuff gets old after a while. It does. Now
yeah,
you talked about in your you talk about in your skit you were married 49 years
49 years. 49 years.
and he was in the military.
Oh, he was a former Marine. I think you're not supposed to say once a Marine, always a Marine. But he had been a Marine in Korea. And in those days, the Korean War, you only had to serve 3 years. So he served 3 years and got his honorable discharge. But he was a great guy. Great guy. I don't regret a minute. So
I saw your picture on Facebook where you had a lot of your brothers also served?
Uh, I had three brothers, and my three brothers each served in a different branch of the service, and of course, my husband was the fourth branch in the Marines. We didn't have anybody in the Coast Guard, but and I wasn't about to enlist and do the Coast Guard stint, but proud of all of them. Proud of all of them.
Was now see, I don't want to say you're old and you have more life experience than me, but
Well,
you've
I
seen more. You've
got
seen more than me.
a picture. I've seen God. What?
Me too, darling. Me too. What era? Like I look around and I see the news that's going on now, and I'm a history buff. I love history, and I look back at the 60s and 70s, and I look at now, and I don't think we're quite there yet because the 60s and 70s was a lot going on.
Yeah.
Is that an era that just when you look back, do you just think, wow, a lot went on? Like
I,
Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, like a lot of JFK, Bobby Kennedy, like that
9/11.
all.
Remember, yeah, those. But you took them as they happened. You never thought. Oh, I mean, you didn't think, well, this must be the end of the earth. This is, it's over. But you just took it as it happened. You're just glad it didn't happen to you. But I do remember each of those events. You remember what you were doing and how it affected you. And I think we, I think at JFK, I remember we didn't have any TV to watch for days, and after a while, you kind of got numb and thought, "Bring the TV the hell back." But that was really callous. But it was a horrible thing. I had campaigned for Kennedy. I was young, and I wouldn't campaign for any party now. But I was a we didn't know he kind of fooled around on his wife then. We didn't know about that. So we thought Kennedy was wonderful, and it was a terrible tragedy. So
Now, was his brother more out? Like, was Bobby Kennedy? That one hurt more than his brother, John F. Kennedy. Like,
oh,
for him to get gunned down in a hotel in
oh
the
yeah,
cafeteria, because he was the one that was trying to. Wasn't he the one that was trying to finish what his brother had started?
I think so. I think so. But it was
And then
we just couldn't believe it. Just could not believe it. But it just
because
no.
that was their name. If you look now at the Kennedy,
What?
I'm sorry. If you look back now at the Kennedy's name, you see all the tragedy that came with it.
Yes. Yeah.
So it wasn't like a big shock. Like when I guess my big shock was when Junior died in that skiing accident, or was it a plane crash or something?
Airplane.
Yeah,
Airplane accident. Yeah, that was. I mean, you just thought, how much more can these people take? How much?
right.
But it just, I don't know.
What was your favorite era? What was where you could say, all right, let me take that time and go back to that.
You don't realize it at the time, but it's your teenage years. I was born in 36, so and got married in 54. But you don't realize what a good time you're having, and you could do about anything in high school. I mean, we had dances and dating and parties, and I didn't get caught up in the marijuana, and maybe might have had a little bit to drink in the back seat of a car. But but uh, I think in my whole life I've had one joint, so um, we weren't into drugs, but it was fun. You'd bunch of kids pile in a car, go to a drive-in movie. It was a really nice time. I imagine, well, Happy Days is probably what I would say it was like. But you don't
Or American,
time. You don't know it at the time. I wore glasses. I was sure my life was over. No boy was ever going to marry me because I wore glasses, and you got zits, and I mean, you were suicidal, zits,
the
and
world's gonna end.
the world's going to end, and a boy doesn't ask you out. I mean, you just have these tragedies all the time. But then you look back, and you had more fun you had a wonderful time. And I still have my best friend Mary. She's as old as I am. She lives in La Jolla and Point Loma, and we're still wonderful friends. I never remember a harsh word that we exchanged with each other. Life really was fun. It was a lot of fun, and your parents were good people, and gave you good moral standards. And I didn't know we were poor till years after I got married, but we were poor, but never went hungry. Never went hungry. So
Yeah, it's amazing. My grandparents, my grandmother was born here in Oklahoma, and my grandfather was born in Arkansas.
I'll say that again.
My grandfather was born in Arkansas,
Oh,
and my
you
grandmother was born here in Oklahoma.
know how to speak it.
I
So
do. I do. I do. Uh, but they came from big families. They had 12 in my grandmother's. There was 6 boys and 6 girls in my
wow.
grandmother's household, and there were 7 in my grandfather's household. There were 7 siblings. So back then, you had a big family, but only like a one-room shack,
Oh my
and
gosh.
you were making 5 cents a day in sharecropping. Like my grandma came from Oklahoma, where the thing that drove her out of Oklahoma was the Dust Bowl and the
Right,
Great Depression.
right.
Like,
Grapes of wrath. Grapes of wrath.
yeah, that was my that was my side of the family there. That's why they call me Bubba.
That would, yeah, that is from the South. I do remember that's from the South. But
What made you get into comp? I mean, you said it's you're de-stressing from a high where it's just tedious, or you have something you
oh,
want something new to do with a hobby. Is kind of like what you said.
yes, and that's kind of a reason I still perform because I love what I do. I love as a lawyer, but it's fun to go and perform and have a whole different group of people. They're not my clients. They're just people who have come to laugh. And I think most of it, we don't, comics don't get paid much unless they're big time, but I think I would perform free. And I think a lot of us comics would, but we do get paid. But it's just the hearing people laugh and say something was funny. It's very rewarding. I hope I keep my mind long enough to keep on.
I've always liked that part of comedy. It wasn't the laughter. It wasn't the shaking of hands, or it wasn't promoting. It wasn't writing. I always liked the behind in the green room, talking to other comedians and
Yeah,
finding out what
fellowship.
made them right. Because they thought like me. They
Yeah.
said shit that I was like,
You
oh wow, you did say that. I was thinking the same thing.
can say off the wall stuff and they understand it. And I don't recall in all these years, I don't think I've ever met a comic I didn't really like that I didn't like. We're nice to each other. We're encouraging. I don't know if it's my age or not, but no one ever, a comic never says anything snarky to me. And
Not because you hold your own. You hold your own.
absolutely, I feel on an equal basis with the other comics, and so it's fun. It's fun.
Well, when you see a comedian get out of her car and she's parked in the handicap spot, you kind of go easy on her. I'm just saying.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
When you see a comedian get out of the car and she's parked in the handicap spot,
Oh,
you kind of go easy on her. You're like, okay, make a wish, let her come up here.
well, it's the walker. It's the walker because those walkers are weapons. I can run over your foot and break a toe. Just behave around me. Behave around.
You took the tennis balls off. You took the tennis balls off.
I don't have the tennis balls yet, but oh dear God, please don't let me do the tennis balls. Uh, yeah.
He's 49 years now. A lot of people won't see that. A lot of people that are together nowadays, they won't stay together that long,
Oh,
or they're like, marriage isn't what it used to be. My grandparents were married 60 something years.
before
but they
came, before the children came.
right.
Nowadays they don't do that.
It wasn't married out of necessity. I was.
Sometimes the
It,
first one was. Sometimes the first one was. Yeah.
if 2 a.m. in the bar and you're by yourself, yeah, kind of.
Do you have children, Bubba?
I do. Are you looking for some? Like, no.
Oh Lord, no. Oh Lord, no.
49 years though. What was the? I know you pick on your husband
Oh yeah.
about the sleeping and the snoring and the.
The
Now is that real? Now is that?
dear God, yes. It was just terrible. But to his credit, I could give him a knee in the back, and he'd turn on his side, and and he'd always say something like, "Oh, what are you picking me for? I'm never going to get back to sleep. I'm going to." And he'd start right back up again. So no, but you know, after a certain amount of time, you realize you probably made the right choice, and
Are you just coming to realize that now?
oh, wait, I'm sorry. This was sometime, not last week, not last week. But no, after you've been married a certain amount of years, I mean, you're tuned into each other. You know what each other likes. Oh my dear God, the thought of starting over and trying to break somebody else in, well, that just becomes really horrific. You just so it was a nice and something nice. When my husband got diagnosed with the glioblastoma, which is fatal, um, our daughters put together a 50th anniversary party for us in about 2 weeks, and it was the most wonderful party. He was still functioning well, and we got to see all our friends. Everybody got to. It was a happy time. People weren't walking around moaning, and it was a lovely gesture on my daughter's part, or our daughter's part, and it was a lovely way to say goodbye. Lovely way to say goodbye. Yeah,
Now
that's
it's
nice and depressing. So
no, but 49 years is a long time, and I don't think that people put 49 days into a diet anymore.
yeah, but you know what? I must tell you, since I do trusts, and nobody ever does a trust until they're practically terminal. Um, I meet many couples with long-term marriages. Many, just a lot. There's a lot
Coming out of
there. There's a lot of them out there with long-term marriages.
Are they coming out of Hemet?
Pardon?
Are they coming out of Hemet?
Uh, I get some from Hemet, no, but I would say Elsinore, and no, I do get some from Hemet, but there's lots of long term relationships out there, and
They come to like heads up 7 up in class. Like, okay, time to get one. Time to get a living trust.
and they know it. They've been needing 20 years, so
Yeah, but they don't see. I didn't have when I was shot in the face. I didn't have any of that. I didn't have a living trust. I didn't have a will. I didn't. I thought I was going to see Saturday. I thought I was going to see Tuesday just fine. You know what I mean? Like you
live,
take life for granted.
yeah, gonna live forever. Yeah, just I don't know. You
Let,
were lucky in a way. You were lucky in a way.
it was on Easter. It was on Easter, girl. It was.
Bubba, I did not remember that.
It was. It was on Easter. So I kind of make the joke where Jesus wasn't the only one who rised up that day.
Yeah, I guess so. That's terrible. That's terrible. See,
Oh.
that's a morbid sense of humor.
Well, it's kind of bad when the devil don't want you and God's like, not right now. Like,
Yeah. He's giving you another chance. He's giving you
what?
another chance.
Oh, I think that's my last chance, though. I really do. I think that's it. I can't ask for another one. Can't.
You're never
What?
going to have anything like that happen again. Good Lord. Where is that guy now, or can I ask? Am I allowed to ask?
Doing 136 years or 163 years in prison.
Oh, that seems about right.
Well, he's 50 now, so I'm kind of rooting for him. He only has to serve 85% of his time.
Oh, well, there's a
I'm
goal.
rooting for him. I'm rooting for him.
There's a goal for you. God. Anyway,
What what my favorite TV show growing up was Andy Griffith.
I I I have watched the reruns of that. It was great. It sounds pretty hackneyed when you watch it now, but it's still wonderful. It's still fun, old fashioned values, and of course Don Knotts is just amazing. So
I that is the one guy that I truly, even when he stopped doing the Andy Griffith show and then went on to make like Mr. Limpet, Shakiest Gun in the West, uh, the Ghost and Mr. Chicken, where he goes up to where he's the astronaut, where he, he gets sent up to space. He's in the astronaut. But all those were fun. Those were, I don't think the Andy Griffith show could have been without Don Knotts. I
it
don't. I
it wasn't the same after they got Warren in there. Um, uh,
And then they went with get Ken Berry, the guy from
that's
Mama's.
right. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
the original few first seasons were
when it
wonderful.
was black and white, right? The
Yeah,
black and white ones.
I never watched the color ones. I'm old enough. The black and white looks like home. Looks like yeah.
what what variety show or sitcom kind of piqued your interest of learning how to tell? Because that's where I learned how to tell jokes. That's where I learned how to not walk on my audience or let that joke lay out there where I can get as many laughs as I possibly can. Kind of like with you and that get microwaves give you sterile. Microwaves make you go sterile,
Microwaves.
and
Yeah.
then you set up. Okay, they got how would the boys get that in there, right? And now you let them think about that, and then you come back with that. How do they get the door closed?
Thank you.
That's
Thank you.
that's where I learned how to tell jokes is because you don't run over yourself.
Yeah.
You let that lay out there. Where did you learn that? What
I don't know. I don't know. And with me, that thing didn't. That little bit about the microwave didn't just come out full blown. First, it just evolved, and I added the other lines later. And well, like when I talk about um, I, the only way I could sleep with my husband was to fantasize about ways to kill him. Well, then later on, it came to me during a set, and I just said, well, and now that he's gone and the police have closed the case, I can share my secrets with you. That just came. Sometimes the lines just come, and you're so grateful because you because they laugh. Like
and you try stuff on stage and you just wonder, okay, I'm gonna throw this line out there to see if it sticks or to see if
yeah,
I need to throw it away. So
and
that was just basically how you came up with that.
and some you do. They just you think they're funny, but the audience
My
just laugh that much. And well, and of course you've got this picture in your head of something that's funny, and other people are saying there, so what in the world did that woman say?
because your age catches them off guard, doesn't it? You
Yeah,
play that age card, don't you?
and I do, and I get away with a couple of things that I probably shouldn't. Um, and every once in a while, I say something I probably shouldn't on stage, but I'm embarrassed that I can get away with it because I'm old. And and I have a little family anecdote I've started. I'm not going to tell it tonight, but that I've started telling about using the F bomb, and uh, uh, it goes pretty well, but I'm still ashamed of myself.
Because you don't work dirty. You're
Not
not a dirty comedian. You're
not
not.
and but sometimes when you're like if the other comics are pretty I don't want to say dirty. I mean, but if they're
No,
pretty
they are.
racy, if they're pretty racy, sometimes then you throw in something yourself because if the audience is laughing, they'll know that they'll laugh at you too. And but now I'm doing a show next week with Mark Christopher Lawrence, and he works very clean. So I already know that I'm not going to violate. Not that he'd have a fit, but I know that they expect clean from Mark Christopher Lawrence, so I will work clean. So,
I just watched his Seinfeld episode where he's in Seinfeld and he's the luggage handler.
oh, Mark Christopher Lawrence?
Yes,
No
yes,
kidding.
he's in Seinfeld.
Oh, I did not. I'll have to tell him.
When no, he knows. Trust me, he knows he was in it.
I'll
When
have to tell him. Yeah, no, I'm sure he knows. Mark,
I had
you were on?
yeah, he was the luggage handler when Jerry and Elaine go to check in and to their flight. They check their baggage in, and he just picks it up and flings it, like just chucks his. Yeah, it's fun. It's hilarious. But
He's good.
yes,
He's good.
I had him on a show with me one time,
Oh,
and a kid from college or high school came and watched the comedy show, and he said, "Can I get your autograph?" He walked up to me and wanted my autograph, and I said, "You don't want my autograph. You want his." And it was Mark Christopher Lawrence.
oh,
Yeah, you don't want mine. You want somebody that's been in something. Go get his.
he's amazing.
He's very funny. Very right off the.
He's an excellent actor. And he could do serious. He could do comedy. He's. I respect him a lot.
You got to work with you and me have worked a few times. You've always been in my corner. You've always came out and
That's how we met.
you've worked some shows that I should never have asked you to work, like the one I had
I don't remember
the,
bad
the
experience.
one at the theater, the Hymet Theater.
Oh,
We had Zoltan, and then we had what's it, Charles Fleischer.
yes. Well, I remember from Roger Rabbit.
Yes,
What-
yes. I wish that theater kind of sold me out. They were in it for themselves. Like they sold tickets, but then didn't give me the cut of it, and then wanted more money at the end of the night.
No kidding. I did not know.
It was horrible. It's like they lost that theater and everything. The people that were running it, they were horrible people, very horrible.
Huh.
And as a comedian, you're just trying to start anywhere. You're just trying to get your name out there and get built up, and you don't. And yeah, you're gonna run across people that are just in it for themselves. I never was. Like I said, I was always in it for the other comedians and talking and picking their brains, and because I always liked that camaraderie.
And I wouldn't do what you do. I wouldn't produce a show. I'm just so happy to show up and take my check and go home. That to me, I was a privilege to be on the stage with Charles Fleischer, because I didn't even know he did stand up, and of course I knew about Who Killed Roger Rabbit, and that was just, to me, see, you're suffering and I'm having a good time, thinking, oh, I got to work with him.
Yeah, those aren't fun. They're not like, because you're a young comedian and you're like, I'll jump through fire for this. I will do anything. And then you start to look back and like, wait a minute, my writing suffered, my jokes, my stage time, because I'm so into it for the money or so into it to build myself up that I needed to stop and be like, hey, one day at a time. This is a journey, not a marathon. It's going to take some time to get doing. Like, I don't know anybody else that was in comedy for 2 years and then said, hey, you know what? Let's book a theater. Or not even 2 years. I was in it for like a year and a half, and I was like, let's do a theater show.
Gee,
I didn't
know that either. No.
Because I thought I wasn't getting booked, so I might as well book myself and book all my friends. So that's what I started doing. And I'm glad I did it. Let somebody else do that. Let somebody else have the.
I never dreamed of all that. And you know Johnny Herrera, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
yep.
I admire him so much because he books shows in venues all over this county. and he has un he has boundless energy. He makes me tired. He's so energetic and enthusiastic, and I wouldn't do what he did if you held a gun to my head. But he
Yeah.
seems to thrive on it. He seems to thrive on it, and he has people love him. So I don't know. Anyway,
I love Johnny. I did a lot of his shows. He did a lot of mine when I was starting out. He was always on mine at like Aces and stuff like that.
he
Now,
was like
did you?
he was like Rocky Osborne. He gave a lot of us stage time that, and we appreciate it. We do appreciate it. So, and now he's doing stand up. He was a disc jockey, and
Right.
he just headlined at the Ontario Improv within the within the last month for his 40th birthday, I think.
Yeah, he's been doing it for quite. He's been doing his own gigs for a while now. Like
Oh,
he's been.
I
Yeah.
just admire him. It's just been fun to watch him do all the work and the hard stuff. Just show up and get paid, like I said. So,
Did you did you ever take courses at Aces? Did you ever take the stand up course or anything like that with Rocky?
oh, I took the improv classes that were run by. Uh, yeah, I did those, and those were very rewarding. And the thing is with improv classes, you build friendships that I'm still friends with. I think everybody that was in the class. It was a great experience. But the classes lasted really late at night. I was up after my bedtime, but it was still worth it. Those stopped when COVID came along, and
Yeah.
never came back again. But Rocky uh, opening Aces was just, it was a real comedy club. We were all so excited because Aces was a real comedy club, and it broke our hearts when he walked away from it or didn't renew the lease or whatever happened. But we all appreciate Rocky too for
Yeah,
help.
we do. I especially because I I used to host a lot of those open mics, a lot of the open mics, and they were three, six, seven people in there at the time. Like that was just the audience members back when it was just beginning. And I would host it, and that taught me a lot
Oh, it did.
because you had to break that fourth wall. Now everybody's doing that type of comedy where they're picking on the audience or they're talking to the audience. I was doing that back in 2013.
I'll be
Like that was because there wasn't anybody in the audience. So if you just went up and did your set, you didn't feel like you were really connecting with that person. So I wanted to break that wall and try and just bring them in and just here, be part of the show. There's only six of you here, so you might as well just start talking to them. And there are a lot of comedians that are headlining now in big places, like Taylor Tomlinson walked up to me. Taylor, you remember Taylor Tomlinson?
never for. Oh, she's still amazing. Yeah.
She walked up to me and she goes, "You're funny." I said, "Thank you." She goes, how do you pick on the how do you do that audience crowd work?" And I said, "I don't know. It just comes out. It just." And she was like, "Wow, you're really funny." And I was like, "So are you. You're really, really funny."
Oh,
So,
amazing. She's
but
great.
she, I think, started with Rocky. I think she was one of Rocky's uh, disciples, or I'm not quite
Well,
sure, but I,
she started off more as a Christian comic with Karen Robertson. Karen Robertson. Um, but then, of course, she's more mainstream now and a little
that's right. She,
more earthy in her act. But she is good, no matter what she tries. She's good.
yeah, she's really. I really enjoy her Netflix specials and stuff like that. To see where she started to where she is now,
Yeah.
it like wow, that's really because she was a worker. She was doing three, four shows in a night. She was she was driving either Temecula, then she would go down to San Diego to the La Jolla or the Comedy Palace. I guess it's now the Mic Drop. Like she would she would walk up to me and Bubba, can I go first? You got another show book, don't you? Yes. Yes, I do, and I need to get out of here early. Okay, but she wasn't my guest spot because she was really funny. So I had her booked like you, like a headliner that could do 15, 20 minutes easy.
Oh,
And she just was like, Bubba, I need to be out of here in like 10 minutes. Can we get this going? Okay, Taylor. Okay, calm down. But I'm really grateful that what comedy has rewarded me with. I the friends that I made are priceless. Let me just say, you are one of them.
oh,
You
I feel the same about you, Bubba. And
I love you to death. I really do. I for everything that I remember the bar shows that you'd show up for, and it would be like three people in the audience, and you'd look at me and be like, "Bubba, we're not doing a comedy show tonight, are we?" I'm like, "No, you get back in your Mustang and go home." You,
oh my goodness, my famous Mustang. Okay,
uh,
I, 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 I did want to sort of stress, I guess, comics. Sometimes people who want to be comics think they have to just show up on stage with a full set. And I think it's important for people who are getting started to know that really you only need 3 or 5 minutes because there are open mics all over the place. And that's where you get your chops. You go to the open mic, you find out what's funny, throw out what isn't. And you don't have to show up with something that could go on to television. It's a learning experience. And I think that's important that we still, after all this COVID and everything, there's still open mic places for for starting comics, for beginning comics.
and I'm doing open mics now. I'm still doing like bar shows and stuff like that because that is really all they have out here. They have one comedy club out here in Oklahoma City, and that's it.
Where are
That
you?
is, I'm in Oklahoma.
What?
I am in Oklahoma. Bow now 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 now. Yes,
No
I've
kidding.
lived in Oklahoma now for
No,
since 2021.
I never saw you move, and I never gave permission.
Oh,
Uh,
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
kidding, Bubba. I did not know. See, I missed so much. Um, I
It's okay.
It runs my spells. Uh, I did not know you're in Oklahoma. So what are you doing in Oklahoma? Now tell me, say it again, because now I'll comprehend it.
What I was saying is that there are a lot of open mics out here in Oklahoma, a lot of bar shows, and that's really the only place that you can get up and do comedy
Is that
because there's only one comedy club in Oklahoma City, and that's it.
no
There's
kid?
just one, right? And it's it's I don't want to say it, but if you're not into that clique, if you're you know what I mean. If you're not into that clique, you're not going to get any stage time. So
Right.
it's kind of like you have to do your own thing. And that's what I'm doing here, my own thing. Like California priced me out of the housing market. Like we couldn't afford to live in California.
I understand. I
We
understand.
just are not, and our landlord that where we were living, he got cancer and he was dying. So it was kind of, I'm dying and you're moving out. Okay, here we go. So that's really why we had to go.
I did not know that. Okay.
But
Well,
we have a big, beautiful home. It's on a corner lot. We have tornadoes that I do not like. Uh,
I don't blame, but no, and see, that's why my daughter is so happy back in Arkansas because they can afford to live there. They can afford to live there, and it doesn't mean they don't love California, but they just couldn't afford the lifestyle that they have there.
I
So
was born and raised in. I was born in Hemet.
you,
I lived in California all my life, 42 years, and then they said, okay, we're going to pick you up and move you back to where your grandparents started. I
oh,
was like,
okay.
man, I was hesitant.
Now, were your kids grown, or did kids go with you?
I'm a stepfather to one daughter,
Oh,
and
okay.
she's 26, and she moved out here 6 years before me.
Oh,
So
okay.
she was living out here with her husband, and that's kind of why we chose Oklahoma,
Uh-huh.
honestly. So that's that's the reason that we moved out here.
Okay. Well,
We were we
family's it. Family's important.
We don't see her though. We're out here, but we don't see her.
I
She might call, but that's about it. But we're here in case she needs something.
Well, and see, I called my grandson tonight, my IT grandson, for help. I may not see him for a month, but I communicate, and he helped me get on tonight. That was great.
Now that's the grandson you talk about in your stand up.
The one, well, and I might as well mention that I talk about my 17-year-old grandson who lives with me. Well, that 17-year-old grandson who lives with me is now 30 something, but he stays in the act because he works better as a 17-year-old kid. And now he's a police detective in Omaha, but uh, he's long gone. But in my act, he's still there, and he's still shaving his body in the bathtub and filling it full of hair. But
The
so
Old Spice.
a lot as a comic. You lie a lot as a comic. And remember Phyllis Diller? She and
Yes.
Fang was her husband, and she and Fang got divorced in real life, and she never took him out of the act, and he sued. He sued her for that, and he lost because they recognize he's just a character. Nobody thought that Fang was a real person. So that's with my 17-year-old grandson. He's just sort of mythical out there.
Now that's the same thing with Bernie Mac. Bernie Mac. You
Yes.
remember him? He was in Kings of Comedy. Now
Yeah.
he talks about his sister's kids that he had to take care of. He even got a TV show on it where his sister was a crackhead and he had to take in his 3 kids, and well, those kids were made up. There were no kids. There were no.
Did they ever exist?
No.
At least my
No.
grandson did exist for because he did.
Yeah, but he made a lot of money off those kids. He got a TV show off those kids.
And I bet they never got a dime off of him for
Didn't have to if they weren't real. So
right.
if he got his daughter, when he passed away, I guess a lot of people were coming up to her and asking her about the other kids that lived in the home or whatever. And she basically had to say, there are no other kids. It was all a skit. It was all a lie. And there is no other. I'm the only one.
People
So
want
lying's okay.
and what is it called? The willing suspension of disbelief. That's
Yes.
you willing suspension of disbelief is what it's called, and we're storytellers. That's all we are is storytellers.
And we have a few, don't we? We have a few of them.
We sure do. We sure do.
And I love you. I appreciate your time. I really do.
Well,
really.
This was fun. I didn't know I'd have so much fun, and I didn't say the F word once. Oh, good. That's good.
Oh, farts. Okay.
So, I think that's more offensive than the other one. But anyway, thank you.
Out here, I'm so glad that you could sit down and figure out the technology and all that.
Now I'm so glad you did this because I'll probably never see you again. But I'm glad you're happy in Oklahoma.
I said I was in Oklahoma. I didn't say I was happy. I said I was in Oklahoma.
Oh, all right.
Okay, let me sit here.
I love you.
I love you too. Don't wait. Don't close it. Hold on one second. Hold on.